Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out Julia Scotti, Funny That Way. What an amazing, amazing documentary. My name is Desmond Thorne. I'm a programmer here at NewFest, and thank you for sticking around for the Q&A with the filmmaker behind the documentary and the star herself, Julia Scotti. Welcome. Welcome to Susan, the filmmaker, and Julia, the star of the doc. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Wonderful.
Amazing, amazing.
Wonderful.
I just
Thrilled
wanted
be
to
at NewFest.
say, yes, I'm so glad to have y'all here. I mean, I saw this film and I was immediately just like, this needs to be at NewFest. This is so much, what we're about. And it's also very New York, which I love. And I just want to say, like, thank you for sharing such a beautiful story. I mean, it's such a heartwarming and funny reminder that it's never too late to discover things about yourself and your life, who you are, and truly turn everything around for the better and deepen the most important relationships in your life with your family and with yourself. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm wondering, Susan, where and when did you discover Julia and decide to make this documentary?
It begins with falling in love. I saw Julia perform on stage at a theater on Nantucket. A friend of ours, wonderful comedian named Jane Condon, who's also an EP on this film, produced a wonderful evening of comedy, and Julia was the headliner. And I just went, whoa! I want to know this person. We hung out. We started talking about doing projects together. Her one-woman show, which I wanted to help her with. I work in the theater a lot. So that's where we began, was just investigating a one-woman show. And in that process, I got to understand the incredible, beautiful life that she was living and the history that really wanted to be a documentary. And over time, she said yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm wondering from the both of you, like, how did your relationship evolve over time while you're putting the documentary together and the show together?
Julia?
For me, it was about trust. I've had issues of trust my entire life. And so when somebody asks you, do you want to bare your soul, a total stranger, really. I mean, we didn't know each other that long. I had to think about it. But, being a comic, you get to learn to read the audience pretty well, and you learn to read people pretty well. So my spidey sense said, and I checked her out, I vetted her, and she was legit for sure, had the credits. And I hesitatingly said yes.
Mm.
And over time,
my spidey sense
over 5 years time.
Yeah,
it proved to be correct. I mean, I was a little concerned over the course of the 5 years when she wouldn't let me see any of it in progress. And it was like, oh God, what's going on here? And then was it last year, Susan, when I saw the first cut? Was it? Yeah. I could see the results of her incredibly hard work that she put into this. So
that's so beautiful.
My lesson is about trusting a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel you.
From my end, it's really been, the gift of Julia allowing me to tell her story and allowing me this extraordinary access, and the friendship that has grown out of it, which I value so deeply. And I look forward to more collaborations. I look forward to all kinds of things. I think Julia has a tremendous career ahead of her as an actress. Yes. And I want to support that in every way I can.
Absolutely.
I'd love to write for her in narrative film. I'd love to bring other people to understand her incredible range. So that's a big part of my mission, is to bring her to the world. I think she's beyond her amazing performance as a comedian, she has the breadth of performance as an actress.
Absolutely.
That, I think is going to be a great discovery.
Yeah.
Ooh, except for my singing. I can't.
I always have a theory that comedians do make the best actors because there is a sense of commitment that they understand, and there's also a sense of like bearing your soul every night when you're on stage that I think they understand very, very deeply. So, Julia, how are you kind of now navigating the world of being an actor? I think there's a lot of conversation about trans actors breaking down barriers now, which we are very, very big advocates of. So, kind of like, how have you been able to navigate the scene as an actor at this point in your career?
It's interesting because up until this whole project began with Susan, I never even thought of, well, maybe I thought about it a little bit, but, you know, when Transparent came along and all that, you know, hoopla about who was going to play whom in the movie, and I started to go, yeah, you know what, why should Jeffrey Tambor be playing somebody that's, you know, I should be playing that part.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I should, and it's really like the first time I ever really thought about legitimately doing some acting. But you're right about stand-up. It is all, you get behind this character, you get into this character, you think like she's an extension of me on my stage persona. But she's not all of me, but she's just sort of this wild off the hook kind of old lady. And I did my first, I did a short film earlier this year.
Nice.
Where I was the lead, and it was drama. It was a drama, and I was like, wow, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more of this. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's you know, that's kind of, I'm evolving as an actor, I think.
Absolutely. And everyone watching this, you heard it here. You heard it here. Hire Julia Scottì.
Yes.
She is brilliant. And I'm wondering, from your comedic brain, how do you go about putting a set together? And has that even changed over the years, you know?
Well, I think if you see you know, when you watch the movie, you see my life sort of unfold there. So you can, if you see my sets, they pretty much reflect a lot of the experiences that are shown in the movie.
Yeah,
and
which I love.
Plus, if you look back, she's got, you know, she found some really embarrassing footage of me doing some anti-trans stuff back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at it now and it's just cringeworthy. But it also means I can remember from that period of time how scared I was about what was going on. There was something, knowing that there was something going on inside. And so my sets are like that. When I get inspired, or when there's a fear or there's an anger inside of me, I try to find a way to you know, to make it funny, and it's great therapy for me, and hopefully for the audience as well.
Totally, absolutely, definitely a sense of catharsis in you know, approaching this. And I'm wondering, Susan, in speaking of like putting things together, what was the editing process like for this in terms of like balancing the archival footage, the animation, the more present footage, as well as like the performance footage?
Well, my background is in narrative film, and, you know, storytelling is storytelling. So figuring out in this complex, beautiful life where the story wanted to go. You know, when you're doing an indie film, you begin with proposals. You know, people want you to tell them early on what the film is going to be, you know, year 1, year 2 of a 5-year journey. And you have to project the story that you haven't discovered yet. So it's a really interesting thing to go back and look at my journal and see what I had imagined the shape of the story was going to be. But I sat with my wonderful editor, Marcia Wormer-Keever. I teach at NYU in the film program, and we used the wonderful edit suites there, and we sat together at every session looking at materials. I would bring in paper edits of what I thought sequences would look like. I crawled into the back of Julia's closet and dug out every piece of material she had, archival that she had, and restored a lot of it, because, you know, people don't take good care of old VHS stuff, and, you know, it needed a lot of care to bring it back. And then I poured over all of that footage to find the moments. And what was fascinating, as a kind of archaeological dig, in the middle of a demo tape, there would be this beautiful sequence of home movies, because obviously there wasn't a blank tape, so in went the demo reel, right, Julia?
Right.
Yeah, in fact, I clearly remember having made a whole bunch of copies of VCR tapes back in the day.
Mm.
And when I would need one just to record the kids or something like that, I just go, all right, I got all these demo tapes and, pop one in. And yeah, she's right. I just taped over a lot of them, and but I never finished the whole reel. And so there were little snippets of my act.
So in the middle of a demo reel, suddenly I would see this beautiful sequence, that would offer us a window into this moment in time. Which,
wow.
So figuring out, what to take and what to shed. The cuts, when I look back at, I've kept all of them. The film was twice as long. Sequences were twice as long. It was, there were sequences that we just didn't want to disturb because there was so much good stuff there. But you have to get disciplined and just shrink and get down to what is the strongest stuff. I want to give a shout out to Sam Roth, who's our animator.
Awesome. Yes.
Wonderful talent. And
yes.
He also came out of NYU Tisch.
Awesome.
And he came into the project, was really excited. He also has a background in stand-up, Julia. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, yeah. Really? No, I didn't.
That's awesome.
He was so excited to get involved and to look at where we could figure out, and I would find sequences that I thought wanted to be animated, and then just creating the Julia as an animated figure, the steps of that piece. I know going through the sequence, Julia, where we were finding the images for the football coach based on that story, and figuring out all the details based on your storytelling. So it's been a wonderful collaboration across a lot of disciplines. Our composer, Matt Hutchinson, came in very early into the project, and I never had to work with temp music. He started to compose really early on.
Wow.
Julia's background, is in music, so as well. So I think comedy and music are hand in hand in the rhythm of storytelling. So it's been an organic act of love from across all of these disciplines. Everyone was very invested in the truth-telling of what Julia does as a comedian and the truth-telling of what we wanted to do in the film. So it's a lot of gifts came our way.
That's so beautiful. And that really comes through in the actual film. Like when people are really in love with the project and put love into every aspect of it, it really comes through. Like I was sitting at my computer watching this movie and just like crying at some parts and not really expecting that. And it's again, just so beautiful. So thank you for all of your work and everyone's work that went into it. And I love hearing that there's so much Tisch involvement.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire festival, we have so much Tisch involvement. So it's so great to have.
I know. Emma Seligman was a student of mine at Tisch who has Shiva Baby.
Oh, that's great. And Shiva Baby, I'm very, very excited for that. It's doing very, very well. I have a question for Julia. I love the scene near the beginning where you're at PFLAG. That's one of the scenes, when you're talking to Dan and Dan refers to you as mom. Like that was the first time I was like, we're only about like 10 minutes in and I'm crying. I'm wondering, seeing you in more queer spaces and like kind of like activist spaces, I'm wondering, do you have any words of advice for young people who may be dealing with their own gender identity discoveries at this point?
It's such a personal, intimate experience. All I can say is follow your heart, because that's the right way to go. I used to tell my students the same thing, if they were guessing on a test, for instance, what does your heart say? That's the right answer. You're not a freak if you feel, for instance, that you're transgender. You're a human being. You're a new creation. And you need to just love yourself for being that new creation.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for that. And I'm also wondering, we were talking about this a little bit before the Q&A, but how are you able to navigate, well, actually for both of you, for Julia, comedy spaces, and for Susan, filmmaking spaces during this time of COVID? How are you able to navigate what you do professionally, during this time?
Well, Susan's in the midst of it right now, so why don't you go first?
Well, when we finished the the film, and I was preparing all of the materials to take into the world, to screen it theatrically in all the festivals. And the plan was going to be Julia and I on the road, Julia doing sets in clubs, conjunction with the festivals we were going to go to. And that live experience of the, coupling with the film, here is Julia Scotti around the corner in this club. It was just such a delicious opportunity to think about the way to birth the film. So it was crushing that, to have such a wonderful companion to travel with on the film, that wasn't going to be a part of it. So have to realize that we had to bring the film into the virtual space, where I'm just very grateful that wonderful festivals like NewFest and Aglyph and Bentonville and Nantucket have been extremely welcoming, and audiences have found the film, and we've gotten great reviews. So, I'm just very grateful that we're here and people are ready for this story.
Absolutely.
So I think, we're going to get back to real screenings with this, and I look forward to screenings with Julia, and look forward to community screenings and all kinds of ways of connecting with our audience when it's safe to do that. But it was a big adjustment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, first of all, my source of income just disappeared overnight, literally, but more than that, as an entertainer, that sense of needing to be on stage, and you getting that fix of the audience, and I went through really literally like a withdrawal period, and anger, bitter. It's like pissed off, I finally get a chance to do something, and it's all taken away now. Screw you, screw everybody.
Yeah.
And then I started to write again, which I hadn't done in a long time, and I started to go drill deeper into the comedy I wanted to do, and I'm getting there. I'm still, peeling away those layers, and I'm moving to a different level of stuff that I've never done before. And it's kind of exciting, Now, if I just had a place to do it, I'd be happy,
That is kind of the thing that we've been discussing in a lot of the other Q&As about this time period. It being a very unfortunate on so many levels of things that are happening, and it also being a time that, living in a society, we're always like, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And this is really a time to just like sit back, make some discoveries about yourself, and really just like take the time with a piece of art, multiple pieces of art, and just like let something grow and develop in like a bit of a slower pace,
and that's the blessing of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you look for the good in everything, the blessing of it is, as artists, we're allowed to, we're going back within ourselves, that we don't have that pressure of having to perform.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure talking with y'all. Did you have any closing remarks or any thank yous that you want to throw out before we close or anything?
God, if you don't mind, Susan, I am so honored for her to have chosen me to do this film, and she's such a professional. She taught me so much about focus and hard work, and just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And I'm grateful to her. I'm grateful to everyone who's responded to the film, and I hope people enjoy it and get something out of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, darling. And my deepest love to you, Julia, and my belief in you. And I know that this film is going to carry you on to so many great opportunities as an actress. That's, next year at NewFest. Let's look
I'd
at
like
that.
to thank the Academy for this coffee. It's very good. Just practicing.
We love having return filmmakers, return actors. Like, that is our favorite thing, to see people come back and see growth and see change and just see people moving forward. So yes, would love to see Julia Scotti starring in a narrative feature. We would love nothing more. So please, thank you. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure talking with you about this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye. Thank you so much. So if you are interested in finding out about the 120 plus films and other projects at NewFest this year, head on over to newfest.org, and you can also find out about our year-round programming. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.